When they scored, someone threw a beer cup on me. Like they looked at me, like threw it, and I got covered in beer. And typically, I'd be like, "What the hell?" But I was just like, "Yeah," and everyone's like hugging and kissing and like, dude. And this dad had his baby with him. He just holds his baby. He's like, "Yeah." The son's like, "Oh my god."
Did you guys see?
We're gonna talk about stuff.
We are gonna talk about stuff. Did you guys see some cool events lately?
I mean, the president got shot at.
Oh yeah. So
wait, no, he's not the president.
Well, they're all former
president.
So yes,
but I don't even want to jinx us on that one.
All right.
No,
funny thing.
Got shot at though.
Okay,
no one should get shot at.
Before we mention any opinions on the assassination,
man, it hit you fast.
Attempt. I apologize, guys. Did you guys see? So strange. The audience in the back behind Trump.
No.
So it's going pretty viral right now. So it's like when he's talking, obviously the shot comes in. He goes down. You see a video of everyone behind him, like naturally gets scared and ducks. And then there's just one lady with like sunglasses on that just stays standing and just grabs her phone and just starts filming everything. And people are just like, this is so weird. Like, who just naturally would just
like
stay
standing all that and
then just start filming everything?
Well, I also think it's really interesting.
People do that though.
Yeah. I think it's a shock thing.
Yeah.
I think
zero fear.
Or they feel like they're like, or a journalist, or like somebody who's like, I got to catch this for my job, or like social media journalist.
I feel like Betty in the stands wasn't a journalist. I think
it's just
Betty in the stands.
I was calling her Betty.
It's just so weird. If you guys have seen it, comment what you guys thought about that, because it was bizarre. It was bizarre to watch.
I haven't seen it, so I can't have an opinion.
Yeah. I what I was thinking about too though is like I was actually talking to Kathy.
Oh.
Because Kathy did a makeup for the Suffer music video that's gonna be coming out soon. Or it's probably already out by the time this is out. Yeah, it was a fun little thing. We did a fun little thing. But we were talking about like, she grew up in East LA and stuff. Like I went over to her apartment for a makeup test and whatnot to figure out some of the bruising and stuff. She did an awesome job. And at some point we were joking about, you hear we heard fire. People were doing fireworks because it's close to the 4th of July.
Sure.
And it's your relationship with gunshots.
Yeah.
Like some people hear them, understandably, like, oh my God, like their skin crawls. They're like, what was that?
Yeah.
And then when you grow up near them, you're not half as phased.
Well,
like
you tune them out.
Yeah. Like honestly. I grew up in the South around a ton of land. So you heard hunters like, pa, 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 like all the time.
Yeah.
And then
I grew up on 20 acres. So.
Yeah. And I grew up in LA as well. Yeah. So it's like, and I would hear it too. Like if you bounce around Hollywood or whatever, you'd hear it. So it's like, it's interesting. It's not that it's not terrifying in its own right, especially when you hear it in a place you're not used to hearing it. But it's crazy, like the relationship with it, because some people are just not phased. Like they're just like, and so when you said that lady didn't do anything, it's like there's also a part of me. It's like, well, if you hear it, you're kind of like, oh, whatever. You're still filming, like
It's funny. Yeah, it's funny you say that. I was saying this to her the other day. I forgot why we got into this conversation, but we're in the living room, and I grew up where it's like. Our house was always like the house where everyone just unannounced would just show up, right? And it would always become like a little party every day with like our closest friends and family, or you know what I mean? And it got to the point to where naturally people would just do their thing. It'd be really loud. Music was always playing, and you just had to, if you were tired, you just had to fall asleep with that going on.
Yeah.
And I was so accustomed to where it's like, everyone can be loud, music, drinking, doing their thing in the kitchen. I'll be in the living room, which is the same technically room. On the couch, I'd pass right out with all that happening around me.
Oh, dude.
Without a problem.
See,
I need pitch black room, the blinds down, no sound, nothing.
I told Kirsten what was funny about this is I would pass out for like 30 minutes. I'd eventually wake up to something happening, and I'd get up and I'd join them again. And then I would join them again, maybe have a drink or a chill talk.
You're a natural rallier.
And then I would go right back and pass right back.
Yeah, man. Well, what's funny about that is like, I always grew up with a white noise machine or a sound machine when I was a kid. I was also deathly afraid of the dark when I was a child.
Me too.
Terrified of the dark. Like I'm talking about like I would sleep with like a mouth hole to breathe from the blanket and then have the blanket over me so I didn't have to look into the dark.
Bro,
like I was so scared of the dark or leave my TV on.
Was there a reason? Did you guys watch horror films as children?
No, it wasn't. My thing is, I guess it was like, it was maybe fear related, but I was just scared of the dark. Like I never thought specifically like, oh, Freddy Krueger or a horror theme. I would just conjure up my own things. Like I would think of my own stuff that like would grab me, or like I couldn't let my hand hang off the bed. I couldn't like, you know, I
had
couldn't.
moments.
Oh my! I had that
like
all the time.
Dude.
So I'm like a big like have one foot out of the blanket.
Yes, yeah. But I couldn't do it when I was little.
As a little kid, I just always thought like
something was going to grab me.
My
or I was like, that one thing I leave out from the blanket. And it's so funny how like I thought the blanket would save me.
Yeah.
Like that's what's so funny. It's like
I still think the blanket's going to save me.
No, but that's what's so funny is I would be like, well, as long as I'm completely under the blanket, nothing's going to happen to me.
Right.
And it's such a weird thing to believe because it's also like if my arm was out though, gone. My arm is gone. But the minute I pull in the blanket,
you're good.
We're good, dude. Yeah. As if like if the killer with the chainsaw or something wouldn't just go right through.
But I wouldn't know it until it happened.
I will tell you, something did make that even worse for me.
Was it a sibling?
Growing up? No, so before this situation, it was like kind of what you were saying, like kind of like your own thing. I had to sleep with the TV on. I had like 2 fans going, like 3 or 4 night lights going. Like it looked like I was sleeping during the day.
That's why I said no TV in our room.
I had like, that's how I had to sleep. And if none of that was going on, like I just wasn't sleeping.
Yeah.
But then I don't know why I did it to myself. It made it even worse. I don't know what grade I was in, either elementary or middle school. But then I watched Paranormal Activity.
Ah, bro. And those things are invisible.
Why?
Hey, look. You know what's funny is like
why?
I've seen all of them.
Yeah.
And the other ones are like
the first
like
one's
second,
the scariest.
Third, fourth, whatever is like, I don't even think about that one. But that first one, bro, I couldn't sleep for a long time.
There's like a flashing light bulb up there.
There's something about that is really funny. There's a light bulb that keeps flickering.
Yeah.
There's something funny about the first one. And I think this goes for a lot of horror movies that ended up becoming bigger as they grew.
Yeah.
The first ones, like typically low budget, has to be
for the best.
Yeah, like they have to be more creative.
Yeah.
And because of that, there's like scarier situations going on. And that's why I think like Blair Witch Project and all that, like all those original found footage type things are so terrifying because they had to work with what little they had. Yeah. So it left a lot to the imagination.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like all the other ones, people talk about it. They're like, it's just too extreme, too much. Like it was too unrealistic.
Yeah.
But anytime someone mentions Paranormal Activity, that first one hit.
Yeah, man.
And that messed with me a lot.
Can we move off of the scary things?
Yeah.
I like scary things.
Yeah.
So now we're here in today's world, and thankfully, I think I said a few episodes back, one of the first things in our marriage that Kirsten said we're gonna break this habit is like no TV in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Which ultimately, the way I see it right now, is very beneficial. When I say I'm going to bed, I actually say like, okay, we go to bed versus before it's go to bed and watch something for hours.
Right.
You know, and thankfully now I have best of both worlds. I can fall asleep in pitch black silence, or I can fall asleep in a music festival.
See, what's interesting about that though is like
You're welcome, babe.
I still like noise, and it can be like a fountain or a rain thing, or I like noise. Like I've never liked falling asleep in the pitch black. I hate it unless I'm falling asleep. Yeah, I hate it. If it's completely silent and I can hear everything, I'm like, please, someone punch me out.
I'm just I'm thankful I can do both, but I rather the noisy one.
Yeah,
it's
the noise
very
also
easy for me
blocks
to
my
fall
thoughts.
asleep. Yeah, it's very easy.
Does that make any sense?
My head is too loud, so I need silence because I can't.
See, that actually sounds counterintuitive. Your head's so loud you need silence?
Yes, because
you would hear it more, wouldn't you not?
I can hear my thoughts at all times.
See, for me, it's like if I'm silently laying in the bed,
and
I can fall asleep.
Add to my head. Like if I have another sound, it's adding to my thoughts.
See, for me, I can fall asleep in silence, but if I'm in silence and I hear a little sound in the other room,
wakes me up.
I think someone's like, my brain goes to like someone's breaking in the house.
Oh, interesting.
Like I hear a little sound in the living room, and I'm like, someone's breaking in.
I put booby traps around.
Yeah, watch me get it that.
Yeah.
I've never even heard that before.
A basket.
You never heard of a booby trap?
No, I've never heard her booby trapping our house.
Okay,
and I was like, watch, I get up in the middle of the night, something happens to me.
I have like little things that I do so I can hear if someone's coming in.
She's
like,
just got like a string of cans next to the door.
I also anoint our home, so like I'll put because there's some nights where I feel like, you know what, actually I feel something weird in our neighborhood, so I'm gonna just anoint our doors.
Yeah.
And I think that that's wise.
So that's why I got a dog.
Yeah.
You know, Addie will pee on them. They'll be like, what the hell is
What's
this? And
this?
that'll give me enough time to like grab something. Also, that's why you should own a studio and never get anything too much bigger, because that way the amount of time it takes the guy to break in, you're gonna be like, I'm right there.
Hello.
It's
me.
See, he's like, oh, dog, sorry, I didn't know you had a studio. I'll get out of here.
It's all funny.
I can't
with,
run from this guy.
With preparation, I've done the same thing as a little kid. Like I lock. So to get to us, you need to get to like 3 doors.
Yeah.
All of those doors are locked.
And
by the door, there's like something.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
then
I told you,
and then
see,
by
there's something.
and then like,
It's like a
by
bat,
me
a golf
and
club.
by me there's
No,
something.
the hangers,
so it's
Legos.
Yeah.
So it's like
Stuff
bro,
that make
it's
people
like,
go,
yo, if you're breaking in our house, good luck. You got 4 doors.
I
to
just
go through.
imagine the guy breaking in and you're looking for things to grab and you don't touch any of your built Lego things. You're like, that took so long to build. Right? As he's like breaking in, you're like, find something else. You pick up the piano. You're like,
no, gotta put that down.
He's like stealing all your stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Oh God.
Yeah, man.
That's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm not into it.
You know, it's funny.
I don't know.
I heard someone say this the other day. I was watching an interview, Kobe Bryant actually.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, rest in peace.
Yeah, exactly. And someone asked him like, you know, if someone was robbing your house, they're like, what are the 3 things? What are the 3 things that you're just like, I need to get this, and then everything else doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And his items were hilarious. It was like prized possessions of like collectible editions of like things. It was really funny. And then I forgot who the host was, and the host was like, okay, awesome. So after those things, then it's the kids. Then it's
yeah. Well, that's funny you say that, because like I'm trying to think off the top of my head what I would want to make sure was never lost.
Like the first thing that comes to your mind, if you have to leave your house and abandon it, what are you grabbing?
My dog.
Yeah, well,
immediately. Well, hey, he could have said his kids. He didn't. No, I mean, but my dog. And then like I save like birthday cards or letters or whatever. Like I've saved like almost every single
Luckily,
one.
that's in our storage. I won't have to worry about it.
I've gotten
exactly.
for years. And well, some of us don't get a storage with their apartment, okay? And so my storage is above my closet. Thank you very much. And so probably that. But like but I can't think of anything. Like truthfully, I mean, don't do this, people. But someone could come into my place and take everything, and I try not to stay attached to all of it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, but
it's smart.
That's always been me though. Like I've always been someone that's balancing this. Like I want a home that's like furniture I'm comfortable with and stuff like that, and also being like I want to get rid of all of it and not have anything to my name besides the things I need.
That's
so
the
like,
artist in you.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
me
that.
too.
That like just getting up and going sort of thing. It's
what
like
can I receive today?
Yeah,
What's
it's
different.
Yeah, it's like I have this. That's kind of my thing. I'm always like, oh, I need this. Like.
Yeah.
But you learn every like, for example, I really for a long time wanted like, oh, I want my office space, and then I want my separate room and my living room, blah blah blah. And then I'm like, I've come to realize I like having everything kind of where I can go and do it right there.
Yes.
Like, right. My office, all my stuff I do's in there, but I don't. Like I still do everything at like my kitchen table because I'm like, oh, but that's like I'm separate. I don't know how to explain it. It's like I like everything being there.
Yes.
I've only had one moment where in an apartment here in LA where I was genuinely like, oh my gosh, I may have to like leave things behind here. And
was that the NoHo one?
The NoHo one. Did I tell you about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was at like 1 a.m. I'm just glad I was awake. It was like 2 a.m. super late. And the building alarm starts going off, and I'm like, "That's a little odd. It's late. It's late, so it's I was like, it's definitely not like it shouldn't be a practice one. It's 2 a.m. And I was like, "What's going on?" I might have even been on the phone with Kirsten. I don't really remember, but I just remember like, why is it going off? Let me just look outside, see what's happening. And I opened the front door, and like a thing of smoke just flew into my apartment.
No way.
And I was like, oh my God, this is really happening right now. This is really happening. And I remember like, I don't think I took anything. I was already on the phone, I think, with Kirsten, or I had my phone, and I just walked out with my phone, went outside, and found out that at like that same time, like some guy was cooking something and fell asleep on the stove with it on the stove, and his apartment went into flames.
That's crazy.
Like,
yeah,
but realistic. What are you gonna take? Like, with that, like,
nothing.
You don't think about it. I really feel like it's almost the same thing as like, oh, if I got robbed, I'd do this, or if I did this, it's like,
you gotta think it's like one of those like life or death situations.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're in
all
that
stuff can be replaced.
Yes.
Right.
Besides like the memorabilia stuff, that's the only stuff that would break my heart. Like photos and stuff that like I couldn't get back. But I think that's all
on my phone.
So. But I'm saying like my letters and stuff like that. Like, I don't like there's like I said, there's a handful of things I could always have on me when it comes to that stuff that you can't replace. Yeah. They're irreplaceable. Right. And I would always and I keep it in a box though. That's the thing. I keep it in enough to grab it and get out of there. But for the most part, I wouldn't,
Mine's a Tupperware. Big.
Yeah, same. Mine used to be a Tupperware, and then I had to downsize. And
that's after downsize.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. You're like, and this is the pizza I ate when I was a kid. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, with all my 600 journals.
Yeah. See, that's my thing. I keep my journals too, and like
all my thoughts from before you met me are back in Canada.
I keep my journals. I keep my journals as well too. It's like it can be depressing and then also cool. But sometimes when you go back and look at stuff, you're like, man, I was thinking that still. Damn.
You're like, wow, I haven't moved on. That sucks.
Well, yeah, it's like that's an interesting. But I do like going back and reading it because it is kind of cool to see like
that's something I never did. But so many people said like it's so important to like just write every day, like write what you're thinking, write what your day was like, write who you are in that moment, stuff like that.
Do you have any memorabilias
right now
other than what I collect of us?
I don't think so. I think like if we just had to like jump ship and like life or death situation, I mean, as long as you and I are good, I really think that's about it.
Can I sidebar thing about journaling real quick? Yeah. Truthfully, I think there's no right or wrong way to do it. I think that's been expressed. That's been talked about. I think we've talked about that.
Yeah.
The one thing though is like, don't have any expectations when you do it. I think that's the thing. It's like I feel like with anything, even when you're journaling, you think, okay, I have to kind of write it this way. I have to make sure it's like it really should be kind of. You just do it. You just do it, and like what I do is to just get into the habit of it. I used to start a timer because I was still like, I don't want to journal. Yeah, I do like 5 minutes, like just to empty your head, whatever.
Just like whatever's in your head.
Dude, and sometimes it'd be like, today I ate this, and this is what I did, and da-da-da. And then sometimes when I go back and read it, I'll have one page that's basically just like breakdown of what I did for the day. And then I'll have 3 pages in that's something very deep and very profound. And then the next day will be something stupid. Like I'll talk about like a joke that made me laugh, or I'll go into like something. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, I'll come back here later. I never come back there later unless like it's like months, years later. Right. But the biggest thing is you're not writing for anyone to see it. Or it's strictly,
you don't think.
You don't think. And it's like, it's strictly for any like it. When I started looking at it more as just, you just do it. And and sometimes you don't want to do it. You know
why I stopped? Because I didn't want to go back and hold myself to those things.
Right.
It was a weird feeling for me. Like I'd have so many thoughts in my head, like thousands.
Yeah.
And I have so many journals at home. Like I have a full shelf of like 100 journals that have 2 pages written in them.
Oh,
but I'll start a journal and be like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get in. And then 3 days in, I have nothing to say. As soon as I see the page, my head goes blank.
Well, we'll see. And I think that's what's really interesting is like, I've experienced that plenty of times.
Yeah.
But what I kind
of... But when you guys journal or when you did journal, did that never like help you like
I still journal every day. Here's the thing. If you're expecting a release, I think that's the thing. If you're doing it like this is gonna bring me something, it doesn't always bring you something. Yeah. And I think you can get let down. That's what I was trying to get at. Is a lot of people are like, oh, journal, and when you journal,
they've heard so much about it.
It's gonna be cathartic. You're gonna feel a release after your brain's gonna be. It's like not always. Like sometimes you are thinking so much, and then you journal and spit it out, and you do like 10 to 15 minutes, and you just. My thing is start at the top, finish the page. Yeah. That's all you got to do.
I think my songs are my journals.
That's fair.
Because I at least write a song a day, and so like that's probably how I release the things that I secretly feel.
Yeah, I do
that
it.
aren't secrets.
I think the one thing
sense.
that's always, and I totally understand what you're saying there, and I think the one thing that's always constant for me when it comes to journaling, and I think it's the reason I always go back, is when I do it, sometimes it doesn't give me but it's all the 1% situation. It's all like, even though I'm not feeling it right now, I know it's got to be doing something, and maybe that's the blind faith I have in the process of doing it, but
it's a practice.
Well, it's a practice, like anything, right? but it's also, it's like, one thing I will admit when I'm going back through it is it does remind me of things I forgot, and not just about who I am or literally things in life, like, oh yeah, that's right. Like so and I did have that conversation about that. That's so funny. that conversation, like, it activates memories that I've totally forgot about.
I think that's my photo album.
Going back in
fair.
Your life.
Yeah.
My that's why I film and take pictures all the time. Cause every time I look at it, I can remember the whole day.
Yeah.
That's like my documentation.
That's fair. That's totally fair. That's I mean, again, I think it falls into a practice thing. I think it's like, I totally see the therapy in it, and I totally see how it can help someone be scheduled and do these things and feel productive. But I think we've also kind of sold this, I journal and I do my task for the day. And like when I'm doing my task, I see how much I'm progressing through the day and stuff like that. And it's like, you totally can do that. That's right. That's great. And some people have a system and it's awesome, but
some people go like this.
I feel like it also has an expectation. There shouldn't be any expectation when you journal. I think that's the point, is it's like, some people are going to like it, some people aren't going to like it. And there's plenty of, there's plenty of greats and artists that journaled, and that was like, and there's this mysticism behind it. It's like, oh, well, all the greats, they had journals and stuff. It's like, yeah, well, there's plenty of amazing people that never journal a day in their life. It doesn't have to be this thing where it's like, I need a lineage of journaling. When I pass away, people can read what I was thinking. Them. Some of my stuff will talk about like what I ate.
Yeah.
You're like, you know what I mean?
liked my journals when I was 5, because I'd be like,
that's cute.
Today I met this guy, and like, he was totally cute.
You had a deeper voice when you were 5.
Yeah, that's crazy. It was crazy. And like, he told me that he loved me, but I'm only 5.
Well, I think that's also like not being in your head, right? Not being in your head. Like
Well, that's also the point of it, right?
Yeah.
Kind of journaling with no expectation, just writing things down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm so much more in my head as I've gotten older. It's interesting. It's like
journaling in here.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it's like and it's not. What's interesting is it's not a self-conscious thing, like an insecurity thing. At least I don't think it is. Because I really do a lot of this back and forth with that. I don't think it's an insecurity thing. Like I just think more things are added in my life that I think about more. Yeah. So I am in my head and more aware of things than I ever was. And I think that's the fun thing about when you're 5 is because you're like whatever. You're wanting things to come into your head rather than because you were so outside of yourself.
We're also curious about everything. Like you're rediscovering.
You don't have a definite answer on things. Yeah, that's true. Like when you get older, you start categorizing. You start going, no, that's kind of how this is.
I've seen this a lot.
I
know how it goes.
Yeah. It's and it's funny too because like recently I got out of acting class last night. I was talking to the teacher. And I was just kind of like, I was like, yeah, I feel like it felt kind of right. And it's interesting because people were very sweet, very complimentary towards the scene. And I was happy on it in some aspects, but I'm like, I'm still missing that connection, that thing. And he's like, dude, you're just in your head. He's like, you're very much in your head. He goes, it's there, but I see it hitting a block. And he's like, and it's your head. Your head's not letting you be free to fall into those things. And he's like, you have to sit in it like kids would, like sit in these atmospheres, sit in your imagination, just go la 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 la. Like you have to allow it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because what we allow ourselves to do as we get older is this false imagination. We're like, no, I am pretending. But it's like if you're aware
lose
that
your expectation.
Lose your expectation. If you're aware that you're being imaginative, you're not really being imaginative. The whole idea of being imaginative is you are gone.
To get lost.
Yeah. If you're going like, no, I'm seeing this fire. I am seeing this fire. It's like, no, you're aware and trying to convince yourself that you're seeing this fire. But when you were a kid, there was a fire. There was no, if you imagine lava, your ass saw lava, period. It's like when you're an adult, you like, we convince ourselves that we're seeing this thing. And it's that convincing that's arguing that this is the way it is inside of me. And I'm trying to escape that because I'm doing it so much in my life. And it happens as you get older because you become kind of
I think it's like spirituality.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of the time,
of course.
you're trying to understand something to make it exist.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of the time things exist without your understanding. And like you have to put yourself in a position of receptive, like, I don't care if I'm right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's about experiencing what's present and available.
Yeah.
You know, like having access to things that are beyond my comprehension is actually a cooler way to look at life. Like as a kid, like when you're a child, you come in full hopes of everything being possible.
Yes. Yeah, everything.
Everything. And it doesn't matter. I could touch whatever I wanted and I would be okay and I'd be a champion and I could be whatever I wanted. And when we get older, we've had so much pain or like experience. We've seen how far that everything I wanted can go. In our own brains.
Yes. We've seen, like, we didn't know what the roof was, and then we did touch it. Yeah. We touched the roof for now. Yeah. Like, as you get older, you find that roof a little bit, and you're like, oh,
or you start building the roof.
Yeah.
Because of your insecurities or your perception or all these things. And I've done it. I've built myself a home. I got little rooms in there where I'm like, this part of me can sit here, and this part of me can sit here. And then I have to, like, hammer the walls down so they can see each other.
No, you're right, because I was thinking about something very close to what you're saying. Is it's true. It's like some of our most inspired artists and stuff and people we love are people that child or that roof never happened. And that's why sometimes they'll do immature stuff or they'll say immature things. You'll be like, well, they're ridiculous. What world? You ever hear like, what world are they living in? It's like, well, they've got to kind of live in that world to also do the other stuff you really love.
To do the impossible, you have to live in many worlds.
Yeah, it's like, well, that's why like people of such great feats and stuff. Also, you're just like you're always kind of like, what world they're living in, because they're not living in that world. It's like with the creative and completely out there stuff also comes some pretty wild and extreme thoughts on other things. And I'm not saying it's justified. I'm saying you have to understand those things are going to go hand in hand because they think on a realm and allow themselves to exist in a world that has no limitations. And if you have no limitations, you're not going to have limitations on any process of thought. And that's why that can also be to rationalist. Also a thing that's kind of like, whoa, dude, what are you talking about?
Yeah. I was listening to this podcast, I think it was yesterday, about time.
Podcast on podcast action.
Time. And it was about time. And it's like how all of us are in this room, but we're all existing in a different time zone, technically, of how we live out our day and our time. And how, like, even the higher you go, like when you're in a plane or a building taller, you're actually in a faster time. And like how science has proved these things. And so time is, even the fact that we limit ourselves to time is actually immature.
Right.
To put barriers and walls up and things that confine you, that is actually immaturity. But boundaries are different. Boundaries lift you higher. So you can see more. Like perspective, because it's like giving you foundation and roots to be able to look at a vast of some, like a plane of things that you never believed in before because you were stuck in your like prison cell.
No, that's really funny you said that, because recently, like, I've whiteboard that I've done since, I mean, at this point, since I was like 17, 18, that I've had up with like goals and everything since I was pretty young. And there's always a quote on there. I'll write a few different quotes. And like the quote of these last 2 months, I don't even know if I read it somewhere or if I just kind of combined a few quotes and made something, but I just wrote down like, time makes the most of all of us. It's like, so it's really interesting.
It's wild
that you're talking about that, because that's kind of been where my head's at. Because I've been on like a big, not a downer, but I've just been like, I've been doing this career so long and I've had so many amazing things, but every day I still wake up like stressed.
I'm like, right there with you.
I still wake up stressed. I still wake up going like, how long is this going to work out? How, when is it going to be that I have to change up this life? When do I say, oh, I'm going to keep doing this? Or when? And I don't think about quitting, but I do think about quitting. It's like I'm like constantly on this I am split down the middle of like everything's going to work out because I have proof that it has so many damn times. But then I have also that like, okay, well, in the meantime, how do I stop stressing about it? And then also, how can I push myself forward, and how can I do this and da-da-da? And it's always just time.
Yeah.
Like it's just time. And that, and I think that's,
and you can move time.
Yeah, right. But it's still just like, it eats me up. But I also find some peace in it. Cause I think like I think about like for anyone in the industry that trying to do stuff, it's like, it's kind of what we talk about. Like, don't think that next thing is going to be exactly what you thought it was, but it also still is a step up. But it's like also reminding yourself that even though it's a step up, there's still a lot more work to be done. And if you think there's never going to be work to be, you're going to hit a point where there's no more working. It's like that doesn't exist. And like, you know, the stress and stuff can still be there. And it's...
Can I be honest? Today I've had this thought. A lot of the time, I'm in stress rather than understanding responsibility.
Oh, okay.
And responsibility is actually a gift. But a lot of the time, I'm interested in seeing that responsibility is a weight on my shoulder. Like something I have to do.
And something you get to do.
Instead of something that actually is I get to do, but I also get to apply things that I've never touched or done before. So it's stretching my ability to do something, which we all know, like when you work out, you're building the muscles. But I forget to apply that in my everyday thoughts, or like even just as simple as making a coffee, or like kissing you good morning instead of touching my phone, or like, you know, like these simple responsibilities that are actually gifts rather than burdens. And how to switch my thinking to be like, my responsibilities are the gifts that I get to live out, because that's purpose. Purpose is to have responsibility to bring light and life to someone or something. And if I don't have that, I'm thinking it's easier, but then I feel empty and void.
Right.
And then I think, oh, I have no responsibility. No one trusts me.
Right.
And it's like, well, I actually chose to give up the responsibilities that I was given, and like not activate them wisely. And then I gave them up because I said it was too hard, because anything of good value comes with responsibility.
Right.
And I don't know, it's something that I've been today like really challenging in my heart, because anxiousness is this big bubble that loves to live alive like beside me. And I've just been like, nah, not anymore. And like, how do I get rid of that? You know, like obviously there's different things you can try, but truly it's just realizing that that weight is actually authority if I choose to have it. And how much authority do I want to have over my life and over protecting and speaking life into others?
Yeah. No, that's so well said. Yeah. It reminds me of like this thing I was reading about that's basically like, learn to love the things you think you hate. You know, it's like
how you started last 2 weeks ago or whatever with, the qualities or the things of our of people or the dogs or things that are around us. Atlas.
Bingo. Yeah. Yes. It's like the things that you're like, oh God, I'm going to hate doing this. This doesn't work. I hate, like, what is this really worth? It's like, lie to yourself and say you love it for a while, and then eventually you probably will kind of love it. And it's not I'm not saying for everything. Some things it's understandable that you don't like, but I'm saying typically the things your body or your mind are stressing about stuff is typically fear is like the core of stress and anxiety. And
pride.
Pride, pride, huge. Yeah. And so it's basically making you go, I hate this thing. Because really that little voice is like, because I'm so scared of that thing. And I'm so scared of this happening.
Or I deserve more.
Or I deserve more. Exactly. It's
and
like,
why would I do this?
It's either like indignant or terrified. Yeah. It's like either those two things. And so
we've all been there.
Yeah. And so basically it's kind of like not saying like to love everything you hate, a broad spectrum. But those things that you're scared of that are morphing themselves into like fear of not working out or fear of X, Y, and Z. It's to start telling that little thing that's like, well, let's just not hate it. Let's just not be scared of it for a little bit. And let's just
not give it power.
Which is not easy.
No.
It's easier said than done.
It's definitely easier said than done. I mean, it's like, it's the little tiny steps towards it. And it's the reminder of that. And also, clearing your plate a little bit. I'm like, even if I want to do all these things, but I'll minimize these things and do little bits of it. It's like, or just do that one thing and really dedicate to that. Because the fear I feel like is like, oh, I'm going to do this one thing and then miss out on everything else. What if it's like, well, then you're not going to get good at anything because you're, that's which is wavering. Which is just me.
But also the morning routine I feel is very important as well.
Yeah, which we've talked about.
What you wake up doing, I've been trying to be like, okay, let's wake up a little earlier, spend some time to ourselves or together, let's sit outside, get the fresh air, say a couple things that we're thankful for.
Yeah.
Just stuff that's not like instantly like technology and work mode.
I also like being around, we were talking about this an episode ago, but being around people more, like being around people that I love. Like I was with for the first time, and I think, 12 years, it was like my mom, my sister, my brother, my girlfriend, my brother's kids, his wife, my grandma. We were all together for like first time forever. And I didn't realize how much of a lingering effect that would have. Like it made me feel so good. And then it was also cool because like I literally went from my girlfriend's family and being such a family within now to finally be with like my full family. It was just like family to family.
Family there.
And a sidebar thing, which is really cool. Went to my first football game. Yeah, man. It was in Texas. It was Canada versus Venezuela, right?
Copa America.
And we were Copa America. We were on Venezuela's side. Sorry, Kirsten. Just because it's like the people we were with, like we were all in support of Venezuela. And like, and also this was so big for them. Like that was like such a huge game for them. I also like, I've been to hockey games, I've been to a baseball game, I've been to football games. I have never been to a game like that. Yeah. Like when they scored, someone threw a beer cup on me. Like they looked at me, like threw it. And I got covered in beer. And typically, I'd be like, "What the hell?" But I was just like, "Yeah," and everyone's like hugging and kissing and like, dude. And this dad had his baby with him. He just holds his baby. He's like, "Yeah." The son's like, "Oh my god, I hate this," and he's just like, "I'm sorry." He hands it to his wife, and his kid's crying. And he kisses his kid. It's like,
I love
just being around people like that.
With Brandon's family,
the soccer fan base is like no other.
Oh my gosh, bro. Yeah.
Yes.
My family on Brandon's side.
Yeah, man.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Wait. When I think you experienced one of the last World Cups, dude, when Colombia was in it, and bro, I felt like the house was gonna come down, bro. The amount of excitement that was coming out of us.
It was the craziest thing I've
I love it.
experienced in so long, and it was just like, I mean,
what I did feel bad for though is did you guys hear what happened in Miami?
No.
So the final.
People couldn't get in.
The championship was in Miami.
Oh yeah.
And let's be honest, Colombia versus Argentina in Miami. I mean, like, look, every game is like hype, but like those two teams,
that's hype
in Miami.
Yeah,
hype.
Like
the
whole city
was at that
going
game.
To that
game.
Yeah. If they could, So you have like the whole tailgating aspect because if you can't go inside, if you didn't get a ticket inside the stadium, there's a big screen outside of the stadium that you just watch it. But they, I hadn't seen them do this, but the game was supposed to start at 5:30, I think, and it started at like 7. And there's a security delay because so many people rushed many people that didn't buy tickets were just pouring into
the theater, into the stadium, right.
And I mean, like herds, and at the speed of light. There's a picture of a guy. I felt terrible. He got trampled over by so many people, like just blood everywhere. But then, even though that happened,
he's still like,
he was like in the interview saying, "Let's go!"
Oh man! Well, dude, they were talking about like people that spent like upwards of 30,000 for seats and stuff, like crazy, didn't get in. Like they didn't even get in and didn't get refunded. Like
why?
Because people that didn't pay were packed in. They have to start the game.
The games are so crazy. The games are, and the thing is, actually, that goes to show we're learning a lot the soccer system right now. Because let's brace ourselves, guys. Whoever you're going for, Miami's one of the host cities.
Yeah,
and so is LA.
Oh yeah,
LA. LA, they released the dates the other day. They're
2026, right?
Yeah. They're hosting 8 games, and one of the 8 games is one of the finals, the playoffs.
Wow.
And that game's going to be crazy.
So then wait, who's the GOAT?
Who is the GOAT?
Who's the GOAT? Because I hear so many arguments between.
Look, don't get me wrong.
Lionel,
yeah, Messi.
Yeah,
and then Cristiano. They're both excellent players. I love both. I love both of them. Yeah, you'll get into some. Conversations
I've heard some heat, bro.
I'm ready. I'm ready to hear.
Yeah. But you know what's interesting is like they're both phenomenal players for their own talents. Don't get me wrong. They've each broken their own records. I give respect to both of them because they both basically created the sport for this generation. However, if you really think about it, so I was never like a diehard, like I love Messi. Like Messi's my guy. Like no, I was never like that. But the guy is technically, he's won like every single trophy. Like he came out when Argentina won. Yeah. Argentina won. He came on an interview. He's like, well, they asked him like if he's going to continue after the World Cup, because he was saying that he thinks this World Cup is like after this when he's retiring. He's done. And
there's that video of him crying once he won the Copa.
He just won the Copa America. They won the last World Cup.
Yeah, so he was like crying. There's a video of him like crying in the stand, while he was sitting watching everything after they won.
Yeah, and they asked him, and he was just like, "Well, when I was with Barcelona, I won every trophy possible in that league. I've won the World Cup. I've now won Copa America. Like I've done that." He's like
Kanye with Grammys.
Like,
he's just
going in.
He's like, I've won every trophy I could possibly win.
Yeah.
So he's like, I just know if the World Cup is the end for the next World Cup is the end for me. He's like, I'm retiring happy.
Yeah.
Like he's achieved everything you could achieve in soccer.
Yeah.
For where he's gone, he's won a trophy everywhere.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So
he hasn't. I heard someone kind of put it like this, and I don't know too much, so I'm just parroting.
I don't either, so I'm listening.
So I heard someone put it like this. They said Lionel Messi. Is that how you said?
Yeah.
They said he's like the GOAT when it comes to the entire world. Like he's like if you went to a hometown, he's the one you pat on the back and hug. He's like the humble. He's the guy. Not to say they're not both humble, but he's like the world loves him. And Cristiano is like the world loves him, but more the media loves him. Like it's almost like Lionel is like every man's fan. Cristiano is like even people that don't care about sports kind of like, oh, Cristiano. Like that's how I heard it was kind of put.
Interesting.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like there's like, I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of mixed things. I've heard a lot of mixed things from both players. At the end of the day, I've heard the good and the bad, but I've also
look at you being so civil about this.
But it's because I know.
Yeah.
I know, bro. It's
you're like sweating. You're like, I ain't getting heat for this. Your family's gonna call and be like, what are you talking about, man?
But yeah,
isn't there a new player right now that's like super? Like everyone's talking about. I forgot.
I mean, yeah, there's new players. Like you have
Lenny Ramirez.
We have Mbappe. You have Mbappe.
I don't know.
He's a great up and coming player. Funny. Well, not up and coming. He's already there. He's phenomenal.
He came.
But one of his stories is like he has a picture with Cristiano when he was a little kid, and now he plays against Cristiano.
That's what we were watching.
Whoa.
Okay,
yeah, and he yeah, and I think that was like a moment.
Had to be.
That was a moment for him for sure in the last World Cup. But I feel like right now there's a lot of phenomenal stars in the soccer league all over the world, but it's just so heavily focused on Messi and Cristiano that I feel like once they get their pedestal, it's like with the NBA, with like everyone knows LeBron James,
right?
You know what I mean?
And then Bronny, he got brought in, right?
Bronny just got brought in. Bronny just had his best game, I think, the other day. Like everyone was putting him down.
Oh yeah, nepotism. They're saying like
they're like, oh, like your dad is your this that. But like at the end of the day, majority of the NBA players. I mean, I don't want to say this in a weird way, so if I'm wrong, I apologize. But a lot of players ultimately got where they are because they knew someone down the line someone that kind of.
Well, it's also a cumulative opportunity. Yeah. This is the one thing about nepotism. I'm always kind of like, I'll defend a little bit, a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Is like, if you're very successful in something, right? And you have a family, you're trying to build enough wealth to pass on to your family to make sure your kids and their grandkids.
Everyone does it, regardless of their industry.
That's what I'm saying.
It's father's
if you
legacy.
If you had a farm, you typically hand the farm down to the kid, and it's it's only nepotism when it becomes something that's like celebrity or sport. It's like that's what's like the nepotism. It's like,
but they're born into it.
If you're doing anything and you know you can kind of set up if you have a college fund for your child. That's a certain level of nepotism.
Well, it's like,
because it's like you're like unless you're like no kid, pay for your own. It's like no, it's like you're trying to help your child. So yes, here's the thing: if I blow up and I have a kid, I hope to God they don't want to do this industry. I hope they do something smarter. But like they say they want to do this, you know, it's like I would obviously make sure it's their choice and make sure they do work hard. Yeah. But if I could help them, why wouldn't I? Yeah. Like why wouldn't you help your child?
You spent your life like
doing this. Do it. Why wouldn't
you? You gave your life to it.
Also, let's give. I mean, the kid also had cardiac arrest not too long ago.
Yeah.
Well, also think
recovered
about
and he's in the league. Boom. Yeah. So it's like at the end of the day, if they end up taking a ring this next season, I mean, he's gonna make history. He's the first player to play with his son.
That's pretty sick,
that's
dude.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, at the end of the day, it's exciting.
Also,
but it's,
I will say this, for those who have celebrity parents, think of how many hours and months and days and years they didn't have their parents there.
Yeah.
And so that's what they're giving in for like their like time.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't even think of it
like,
that way.
so you're getting something.
It's like,
right. Yeah. So it's like, ultimately, you know, I wish him well. You know, Bronny at the end of the day has talent. I mean, he's been playing in the summer league right now, so not with LeBron and none of them, but each game he's been playing has been getting better and better. So that's great. But you know, also the guy, one of the richest guys in the world that owns, you know, Louis Vuitton and Dior and all these things, like he's passing all the ownership, because he owns basically all the designers. Funny, you know what's crazy is like one guy. It's like with the cars, but there's usually one brand of cars that owns a lot of luxury cars.
Yeah.
So the same thing with the designer with the fashion line.
He's passing it down.
But he's passing it down to all of his kids, and I think like one kid is getting one brand, the other one's getting another brand, stuff like that, and he's just like he's passing it down to his family.
Yeah. I mean, it's
why wouldn't you want to do that?
Now look,
because you've taught them how to handle it too.
Yeah, and it does
right.
Now, I think on the same end of things, like there recently Jack Quaid, which is Dennis Quaid, Dennis Quaid, and oh my gosh, what's her name?
I can't help you.
No, it's not Goldie Hawn. No. Oh, his mom is, I think, Michelle. His mom's Meg Ryan. Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan had a son, Jack Quaid. He's a great actor. He's on The Boys. He's done a ton of other stuff. He was recently asked about nepotism, and his answer was perfect. He's like, do I have a certain amount of privilege with my parents being in this situation and like coming from two highly successful parents in the same industry I want to be in? Absolutely. Yeah. He's like, but I also have worked my ass off. Yeah, it's like, okay, look, credit where credit's due. It's the same way. It's like, and it also, you can't help but like, if you have a healthy household, who are your first two inspirations? Typically your parents.
Yes.
Like almost every time you want to be like your parents, you want to take like the things, again, I know healthy household and stuff. There's a lot of things you look up to your parents. You want to take, if you're, news report, you know, if your parent is like a doctor and both parents are doctors, odds are if they didn't like push it down your throat and you love that, you're probably going to do something in the medical field or lawyer field. It's like,
you're educated in it anyways.
And I think
it's the other way around, you know, sometimes, you know, there's kids that, you know, they don't want to do what their parents do. They want to go their own way, but then because their parents might be a little bit well off, they get to their own place a little faster because they have the funding.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, still parents worked very hard. Kid worked very hard to push.
It only sucks when they like interview, you know, maybe a little pain in the ass, and they're just like, I did this all myself. Like, no, I don't have any help. Then it's like, okay, well, you suck. We're bringing you.
Hold on. Healthy home.
I know.
Healthy home is all aspects.
I don't know why you just made me think of a video that just absolutely destroyed me a while ago.
Which video?
It made me laugh so hard. I forgot what was happening in this store, and this like news guy was like, I felt so bad. This news guy was talking about the store and the grand opening and all the money putting into it. Or I forgot what it was. And he walks out and he goes, "Oh, look, this is one of the first customers, you know, in line. let's see what he has to say about this. And he goes and he asks the guy a question, and the guy goes, wouldn't you want to know, weather boy?
Oh,
and he says it pissed.
Yeah.
Do you know what video I'm talking about?
Why is that? I don't get it.
Well, you had to be there. I know what you're talking about.
You know what video I'm talking about?
Yeah. It's so.
I don't know if it was staged or not.
Sidebar. It doesn't have anything to do with nepotism, but it is a funny.
Well, that's why I'm saying it made me laugh when you said like they interview like kids.
I was like, hold on.
Like, yeah. It is a funny video. It's like would you like to know, weatherman?
I'll try to find it when we finish.
Yeah. I want to be on the same page.
But it just goes back to like, you know, if you're interviewing someone that's like not kind, or just not
or not for you.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. A cumulative opportunity is really what that is. You know what I mean? And you know, it's just true. If I have a little one and they're like, Dad, I want to do acting, and I'm like, please do anything else. And they're like, nope, I want to be an actor. I'm like, okay, you're not going to be. And they're like, please, Dad. And I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
You bet your ass
You've been thinking about this a lot, Jay.
Oh man. You bet your ass I'm gonna do everything like you always want to give your kid a good life. Yes. I don't like
Why wouldn't you?
The nepotism thing is like I'm constantly kind of, you know.
So
it's how the kid handles it.
What do you guys think about this? You know, speaking of like doing good, some good things happening. So top YouTube, I do want to say, so top YouTuber Jimmy, Mr. B. So he's known for obviously doing his like crazy intense action videos, but then he also has a separate channel where he's basically just going around the world and just doing things to help people.
Cool.
So there's two things he did where it was like he went to multiple countries in Africa and he built, I don't know how many, but he built a ton of wells, and then he built like systems to create fresh water for a lot of town and for people to have drinking water. And then he went to a couple countries in the Caribbean. He ended up building 100 homes for 100 families in poverty. Or there is something where it was like every couple years, these people's houses get swept away by a flood, a river, and then they just rebuild their house as to the best that they can, and then a couple more years later, it gets swept away again. So he just
would move.
Yeah, so he just.
That sounds like if they could.
At that point though,
you think they haven't thought of that?
Yeah, it makes sense. But he ended up building.
They're like, it won't happen again.
A couple years later, but he ended up building 100 homes for 100 families, and he gave them all. He gave them all free, everything like that, and it was great. But then two things to that is one. He came out saying like, you know, like why am I the only one like going around helping people? He's like, I'm not even the one with like the most money in the world, and I can make this happen with what I have. Like there should be more people going to help these people in need. And then he also got a lot of backlash for the wells in Africa. And then
for what? For helping people?
Yeah. And then on the flip side,
what did they say?
I don't know the exact. I don't remember.
You give them fresh water, you asshole.
I don't remember exactly what happened with the wells. With the wells, we may have to look into that.
Okay.
But he just came out saying like, I don't know why there's any backlash to this. First of all,
right.
And then on the flip side, funny enough, some families that got the houses for free came out and said, hey. There's ads of like they're selling their house.
We can move.
Yes, they move.
You can move.
Yeah.
See, they were just waiting for a YouTuber to come along, and you know.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think on the fact of like he's just like, why am I the only one doing this? You know, there should be more people helping people if you can.
I feel like with every movement, someone had to start. You know, it's just like or any sort of charity or something. It's like every charity started with some company or some person being like, I'm going to start saving for these people. I'm going to start doing it, and hopefully people will take notice. I mean, it's like, why does he have to do it? But at least he did do it, and hopefully people...
Helped a lot of people.
And people keep going. I mean, if, like, you could point fingers at why the government doesn't help do X, Y, or Z, and why they help like that. That's...
You can point fingers at anyone.
That's a, you know... never-ending battle, an argument of where things should be worked on and where they shouldn't be worked on. I mean, I think it's just dope that he did that, you know? Yeah. I think also it's like, if you're gonna go do something like that, just keep doing it and doing it in ways you can kind of find to be charitable and bring more and more people. It's cool he has such a good reach and he keep doing it. Do you know if he went? Did he go to like? Did he go to like the Senate or something? Like, did he go speak to people and ask them, or he just kind of in an interview said, "Why aren't people helping?" Like, did he actually go to like some sort of?
No, he didn't go to anything like that.
Okay,
no,
so he was just like tweeting. Why did I have to do this?
No, it's someone brought him on for like their own podcast or interview or something like that, and they were asking him those questions.
Got it. Yeah. I mean, like, I think it's super cool he did that. And I think in that sort of position, it's a great way to pay it forward and help people if you can. I mean, especially, I don't know, everything I ever hear about people at that level, the money stops mattering and it's more what you can do for people. And I mean, hopefully that becomes a recurring thing. And it's like they can do charities to which YouTuber or which person can.
Yeah.
I mean, does it suck?
Isn't that an interesting concept? I just want to just to tap into that a little bit when you were saying like usually, not all the time, but not majority, but like a person when they get that much money, it becomes about giving it to others.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's the recognition and the wisdom of how to use money, which is why a lot of the time people with less money don't necessarily give more.
Yeah.
They don't exactly know how or what, like, what do you think in that regard? Like, if I think about myself right now and I'm thinking about Mr. Beast giving all this stuff, right? Do I sit here and say, oh, I can't do that? Or do I go and I'd be like, what can I do?
Little column A, little column B. I think you're definitely onto something. I've read where they kind of talk about what sort of happens is so we all have like a baseline where they've kind of proven like your excitement and kind of the dopamine you get and your how you react to how much you make has a certain limit that you hit, and then once you start making over it, it's like the excitement's never the same. It kind of flatlines, I mean, you're making money, so it's great, but there's like a certain number most people can live off once they hit it, and then anything else they're making more than that, it's awesome. It becomes maybe like a game or something, but there's almost a point where you'll never have to think about money again. And when you do that, it's kind of back to what we were talking about fulfillment and what it really is. And a lot of people at that point they start helping people because that gives them more fulfillment than making the money ever does.
Purpose.
Yeah. And so I think they're not, like that's like one of my favorite quotes ever is like from Jim Carrey, where he's like, I would love to make everyone rich and famous to show them that's not what makes you happy in life. Like it's that, I think it's that same thing,
right?
It's typically it always goes back to the top people. I mean, sure, there's plenty of people that are just all about money, but then there's a lot of people, it's like they get their fulfillment for helping, like their charities and stuff like that.
Because there are some people with no money that give.
That give.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But I also think it's the ingrained fear. It's, there is this weird thing where they did how much people tip depending on what class they're in and depending on how much their salary is or what their household income is and stuff. And it's actually kind of surprising. Like it's like it's almost like they say like the middle class tips the most, right? And then it's like middle class tips almost better than lower class, and then some of the best tippers are actually higher class, but it's not really a screw you thing as much as it's kind of like the fear of money, like the fear, Yeah. And this is something I read a few years back. Data stuff changes all the time. And then tip culture is different too. So you can't just be like, this is how all people work, because tip culture is different anywhere and stuff. But it is very interesting. It's just like there seems to be a recurring factor of people being charitable. That, even though we don't always see it.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. What about you, babe?
With what?
With your question.
I don't know what my question was, to be honest. But
all right.
But I do have another question that lines up with like money.
One to take us home.
So
yes, take us.
Yeah, exactly, and cook a nice dinner. But as far as budgeting, like, how do you guys see like investing your money on a monthly basis?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's like I was telling you before the pod, I had this deep fear of not having anything invested, any sort of assets. So I like finally did today. I finally did it and finally did they just make it so scary.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, is they make it so scary, and it is really hard to put away money for most people, almost everyone, when it's like, oh, I'm never going to need it. It's like, but it really is scary, but it's also like, it's a lot easier than you think it is. And I think we kind of scare people, but.
Well, also when you try to like flip the script a little bit, and like, you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to put my money to. This is what it could get to. Like, if I don't put it here, where's it going?
Yeah.
Like, is it just going to go to like food and coffee or something?
And there's so much proof. There's so much proof in the pudding that almost every time you put in like trustworthy things like SPY, or you put it in like the S&P and stuff like, you know, and I don't know too much. This is just kind of like what I've been told. There's like certain safe ones that over millennia have shown
period of time,
it always grows. It's like you just put it in, the whole put it in, forget, I know is like, that is a privilege in itself to be able to do that. But people don't understand that you can start so much lower than you think. People are like, oh, I need thousands. You can literally start with $50 a week, $100 a month. Like you can do, and
I mean, look,
it'll just build and build and build and build.
Look, there's always risk with investing in the stock market, but the ETFs, what you're talking about, like, it's gonna do better for you putting stuff in there on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis versus, let's say, just holding your money in like a low interest savings account.
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of the day, the way the economy and the dollar is going, it's losing value faster in a savings account versus if you're investing in, it's compounding.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
well, it's like, and it is so cliched, but like The Richest Man in Babylon and Rich Dad Poor Dad are two of like some of the best books ever on finances. And it's just talking.
I really like Rich Dad Poor Dad. Yeah.
And I mean, look, everyone and their mother will tell you to get the book, but nothing, when something's talked about a lot or referenced a lot or recommended a lot, there's some validity to it. Like there's a reason people tell you to go check it out. And there's a lot of stuff that just makes sense. Like but they don't, but that's the thing. It's like, there's not enough really explained to these people. Like, you know, people think, well, I need this much money or I need this and that. It's like, no, dude, like you can that's why I thought in theory, why I thought acorns and stuff was so smart in the beginning. And then now it's changed a little bit, but like I love that accessibility, because it's just, if you weren't taught it and you didn't have that sort of financial education or wisdom in your family previously, it just seems so daunting. It seems like this absolutely terrified thing. A lot of people didn't know, like, you can have money in an account that's growing and then still take from it. Now there's things that can happen, but some people thought like, well, that's gone. I'll never be able. It's like, no, there's so many different accounts that have different factors and stuff.
Right.
I mean, if you can, again, it's such a privilege.
Yeah.
But if you can even afford to put a little money away every week or every month into this thing, it's a no-brainer. I think, like, again, we think by year to year, day to day, but it's like you have to think long term.
Right.
What
and
is this?
And the younger you start, the less you have to put in, really. But that's really only if you're trying to project a specific number.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's going to work out for you regardless.
Yeah, and obviously, if there's the higher capital you put in, the more you're going to make faster. Right. But it's whatever. Like, you can literally, because someone's like, oh, I don't have $1,000. It's like, no. But if you put in $100 for 10 months, then you would have $1,000 in there. It's like you have. But again, it's just
your patience.
Yeah, it's patience and breaking it down for people in a way that's consumable, in a way that makes sense. So
and restructuring your habits.
Yes. Yeah. But also, go get that coffee. If you want the $5 coffee, just get it.
Just get the coffee. It's fine.
I mean,
I understand. Just low acidity, please.
Yeah.
Non-moldy.
But yeah, man. I mean, that's
unburnt.
I feel like on that note, though, that is a good thing. I would love to ask you guys is your thoughts on how to budget, how to invest your money, tips you were given that really changed how you viewed what you were getting every month and stuff like that.
Like what's helped you?
Yeah, man. Yeah, like I would love to hear all that. I think we all would. We're always looking for good tips. And then
and tricks.
I think also football. What was your first football experience? If you've had one, I want to hear. If it was getting covered in alcohol like mine was.
Oh man!
And that baby got splash of beer, dude. He just bless his heart. He just
wait till you go to a soccer game in Europe.
I see. That's because I was there with my girlfriend and her family's from Mexico and stuff, and they were talking about like, oh man, like this is nothing. This is not. They're like, this is like calm compared to what it can get to. And I was like, I want to be at it because no one's mad. They're just like, yeah.
It's so much energy.
It's feral.
It's so
like,
much energy. Yeah. Like I've always heard that it's like you feel like an earthquake is hitting in the stadium.
Wow.
Like, yeah.
We almost went to one in Madrid, but then we left it there.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
All right, guys. We love you.
I think this is Kirsten. We would have we would have went to one, but all right, guys. Peace.
I'm going to one right now. I'm calling them up.
Yeah, busy babies. Good talk. Love you guys.
Yeah, let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments.
See you next Sunday.
Let us know about everything Jake just asked as well. Mm-hmm. And then guys, soccer game in Europe. Haven't done it. Do it.